Alright.
Well, hello there. I'm willing to bet you clicked this video because you're interested in learning to code. Maybe you're interested in learning to code, maybe you don't know that much about coding, maybe you're not sure if it's for you, but you're willing to give it a couple of weeks to experiment. If you're interested in getting started learning to code, I can help you. This video is for you. The reality is that coding is actually not that hard. Once you've been doing it for at least a couple of weeks, it becomes much easier. You can get to a stage in a couple of weeks where you can make something pretty decent. I'm Callum, I'm a senior engineer. I've been coding for over 12 years. I've helped junior developers get better. I've helped people learn how to code. The industry has evolved a lot in the last 12 years, and the way you get started has changed a lot. Obviously, we've got AI nowadays, but I'm going to show you how you can do it in 2026. And I know that getting started with something completely new is daunting because you don't know what you don't know how to get started. I'm going to give you the pathway. And there is one tip as well at the end of this video that I don't see anyone else talking about, but it's actually really, really important if you want to be a professional coder.
Alright.
So first of all, what is coding? Well, there's lots of different types of coding. There's web development, there's game development, there's operating systems, there's embedded, there's mobile, there's all sorts. So if you don't have anything specific in mind, I would definitely recommend web development. If you don't have a specific interest in any other type of coding, web development is the easiest to learn. You can get something up and running that looks cool and you can be proud of in literally hours or days. Not to mention web development has the most amount of hiring opportunities available of all of the types of coding. The web is the modern way that people communicate with each other. Every company has a website, every business has a website. Now I do want to address the elephant in the room quickly, that is AI.
Alright.
AI has been one of the things that's completely transformed the industry since I started. And while AI has been a big disturber and made a lot of people uncertain, you don't have to worry about it. In my experience, as the context window gets bigger, as more and more information gets loaded into everything that you ask the AI to do, it slows down, it becomes more expensive, and the quality reduces. It's kind of like the speed of light. As you approach the speed of light, the energy required to continue accelerating gets closer and closer to infinity until it becomes impossible to hit the speed of light. What you need to think about as a coder is the value that you can provide as a thinker, as a problem solver, not just as someone writing the code. 10 years ago, you were doing the thinking and the code writing. Today, you're doing the thinking, the code reviewing, small amounts of code modification. A lot of the code writing itself is outsourced to the AI. And so what you need to be able to do is recognize good and bad code when the AI produces it. So you need to be able to know how to code yourself. It's kind of like how a pilot flies a plane. Would you want to have a pilot flying a plane that doesn't know how to fly the plane just because they have an autopilot? Even though the autopilot can take off and fly and land, you think they don't need a real pilot in the plane? No, of course not. They need someone there who knows how to operate the autopilot and to fix it when things go wrong. And businesses recognize this, which is why they're still hiring for coders. So use AI as a tool that does the thing that you can do, but quicker. Don't be the person who uses AI and doesn't know anything about coding. As someone who knows how to code, you can make manual interventions and fix things and tweak things when you think it's appropriate. It's important that as a professional coder, when you're using AI, everything that AI does is something that you should be able to do or something that you should be able to learn very quickly. And when you learn how to code and you use AI for coding, the way you feel using the AI is different. People who don't know how to code, when they're using AI, they're kind of blindly trusting what the AI does and just looking at the results. Whereas when you know how to code and you're using the AI feels like something that you have control over and not something that you're just blindly trusting and not able to verify. And the other thing about AI is it doesn't just write code. You can ask it questions when you get stuck, which is very useful for learning and should help accelerate your learning experience. Even I, as a senior engineer, get stuck with things all the time. I have problems with frameworks, with libraries. I have things I don't know how to do. I get stuck. And the common misconception is that senior engineers don't have these problems. We just know how to do everything. It's not the case. Differential in my experience between a senior engineer and a regular engineer is that the senior engineer can overcome these obstacles quicker. We're able to know where to look to find the answers. If I get stuck doing something, immediately I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I need to go here, I need to refer to the documentation, this will tell me I can find the solution quite quickly. And with the introduction of AI, the barrier to developing this skill has dropped significantly, so now you can just say to the AI, hey, I've got this problem, can you help me solve it? But you still have to think for yourself. You have to get the AI to help you solve it. You have to assess what it's saying and then make the changes and make the fixes yourself. Okay, so the steps. How would I learn to code again if I was going to start in 2026?
Alright.
First of all, the anatomy of a website, the absolute basics, the fundamentals, the foundations, the non-negotiables. There's 3 of them: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the 3 languages that you must learn as a web developer. These are essentially the only required learning elements, I would say, that are absolutely necessary. Even though the web development ecosystem is vast, everything's built on top of these 3 elements. There is one more that's important for coding, but I'll get to that a little bit later. So everything else that you know, frameworks like React, Next.js, these are all optional pathways. You don't have to learn them to become a web developer, but you do have to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is your markup language, hypertext markup language, that defines what you have on your page. Without the HTML code, you just have a blank page. There's nothing on it. The CSS, the cascading style sheets, the styling for your website, how things look, the colors, the fonts, the sizes. And JavaScript is your scripting language, how the website behaves. Once it loads, it doesn't just sit there and do nothing. Things can move around. You can press buttons and they can perform certain actions. Anything that's dynamic in your web page is going to be powered by JavaScript. So I would just take a bit of time to familiarize yourself at a very high level with these 3 elements before you get started on doing a course. Now, I would recommend doing a course just because it's got more comprehensive things in there than just basic vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. 10 years ago, that was enough to make a website, whereas in the modern web, you have all sorts of different abstractions on top, like React, TypeScript, etc. And that's out of scope for this video, but there are courses out there that can teach you those things. So I would absolutely go and pick one of those courses and spend maybe a week or so going through the exercises. Now, don't get stuck doing courses forever. You have to build things. I would definitely start with tutorials, but you have to move on from them very quickly because tutorials help you get used to the coding behavior and the environment of coding, but they don't help you with learning the problem-solving approach. Start with small things and move on to bigger things. Start really small. Build something in an hour. Build something in 2 hours. Build something in half a day, 2 days, a week. Always start from scratch. Every time you start a new project, you learn from the previous project and you do things differently. It's easier to just leave something and move on to the next one rather than trying to fix everything that you have in your old project. Then, once you've been coding for a couple of weeks, make a really simple project. It can be anything. It can be a to-do list, it can be a blog, it can be a personal website that says, hey, this is me, I've been learning web development, this is where I live, this is what I like to do. You can make an online CV, basically, a website CV. And then you can put a link to that on your CV, and employers love stuff like this. If you can put stuff on your CV that shows that you make things just for fun outside of work, you're not just a professional, you're doing it because you enjoy it, and it shows that you're taking initiative, employers honestly love this. And now finally, the one other thing that I would say is the absolute non-negotiable when learning coding is Git, or some kind of version control software. This is not just relevant for web development, but actually all coding professions use this. So Git is absolutely essential if you are going to work in a professional environment in a team. What Git does is it tracks all of the changes to your files. Git basically allows people to easily see exactly the code that's changed in a code base over time. It allows you to review other people's changes and it allows you to see exactly what's changing. So I would recommend creating an account on GitHub. GitHub is kind of like a social network based on Git for developers. There are all sorts of open projects are hosted there, but a lot of companies will use GitHub to host their private repositories. At my company that I used to work at, we use GitHub for all of our private repositories. That's where you do your code review, so you make your changes, you commit your changes to the repository, that goes up. You then say to your manager, hey, I've got this code here, can you check it out? And your manager can see exactly the lines that you've added, exactly the lines that you've changed. And this technology allows you to keep control of different versions of the software, V1, V2, V3. At any point in time, with Git installed on your computer, you can revert your code to any point in history. And this is super useful when you're learning as well, or when you're working on personal projects, because if you make a mistake and you're like, oh, actually, I preferred it how it was before, you can just revert your changes and immediately your code is back to how it was before. So I hope that has given you a little bit more of an idea of what it's like to learn to code in web development. And if you have any questions or want any help, let me know in the comments, and good luck learning to code.